Hey YouTube, it's Matt Olympus Reptiles. We're going to bring you another unique animal today here at Manhattan Reptile World. And sometimes when you have a reptile pet shop, just strange shit comes in, right?
Yeah.
Things you don't see every day. Also, what did you have coming today? Wasn't it like some specialty morph crazy Burmese python that they're talking about?
Yeah.
Like this thing was when they called us on, man. I'm going to tell you a story real quick, then we'll get to today's feature. They're like, hey man, I've got the super unique Burmese python. I don't remember what morphs they said it was. Some shit we never heard of, man. We're like, whoa, yeah. They just need to rehome it. Yeah, bring that in. Well, we all know. We all know what that really means. And what does it mean?
Means it's a ball python.
Means it's a ball python, right? How many copperheads have people brought in?
Oh, shoot.
How many of those we get?
If I had $1 for every time I have a copperhead brought in that's not a copperhead,
Not a copperhead.
I'd own this city.
No. I want to put up a big picture someday. It's framed that says, this is a fucking copperhead. Because it's like, yeah, oh man, not a copperhead. But at least when they bring them in, usually they bring them in still alive, correct?
Yes.
Which, hey, you know what? I appreciate that because at least they'll bring it in and checking on it. Which I'll take, here's something moving over there, which I'll take every day over the pictures I get of a snake with no head. And like, hey, I just killed this as a copperhead. Nope, killed a king snake, so now you can have copperheads. Enjoy. So we do appreciate it, actually. We make fun of it, but it's I would prefer that over the other. Yeah. But what this actually came in unique, and it actually is unique.
It
right?
is.
It's not super uncommon, but it's not something you see every day either.
No.
So why don't we drag the snake out, and then we'll talk about it. So right here we have, ladies and gentlemen, a box full of dirt. And you get to trace yourself around in there. What? See it moving? Well, I saw something moving. It's like an episode of frickin' Tremors, man, or the movie. Now, these things like to burrow, which makes them not always the best snake on display, but when you get them out, I want you just to look at this. And this is what's called a Sunbeam Snake. This is probably the second one we've had come in over the last several years. The first one we actually sold to a friend of ours who happened to come in the shop from Nebraska and said, whoa, I got to have that, and took it home. And now this one is actually held for lady, right?
Yes.
So is it even ours, or was it one that...
It was one that we sold that someone came in and said they had to have it.
Okay.
So it was brought into the shop we bought it and brought it into the shop because I thought it was something unique. I've never seen one. I'll be honest. I didn't know if it'd do well. I just wanted to get it in so I could see it.
Yeah.
It was one of those
every
things
time we had them, they sell fast.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to put a little additional light on this so you can really see. I mean, these things kind of remind me on the iridescence front of like a Brazilian rainbow boa. So there you can see it. Look at that go through all that sheen. Really a beautiful snake. It's a shame they hide so much and hide all of that beauty.
And the crazy thing is his eyes are blue. So this is like getting ready to shed, not even in perfect color.
Yeah, so it's basically this is the crappiest it's ever going to look. And, I mean, all the pictures you see of the Brazilian rainbows where all the rainbow colors are there, and you get them in person, and they're never quite that. These Sunbeam snakes are that. They are gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And this is just a simple cell phone light. Like, this is nothing too additional to get that sheen to really show up in that full rainbow. It's like having a CD in your rearview mirror from 1996 as a snake. It's about the best way I can put that. And you guys know what I'm talking about. For those of you that are like, well, those of you who are like 25 and under going, what is a CD? And those of you who are really old going, that's how I save money. But those of you in that sweet spot of the world where I grew up know exactly what I'm talking about. And everybody had the old crappy one hanging from the rearview mirror that blinded every other driver when the light would hit it. Why? I don't know why we did that. But it was something that apparently we thought was cool at the time. But this has that same type of rainbow sheen as that compact disc for those of you when you get it in the light. Now, what do these things feed on?
So these guys are a really weird eater. I mean, everything. Fish, frogs, toads, small rodents. These guys have notoriously small mouths. So they don't, again, like the Asian vine snakes, they don't eat things giant like your other snakes. They, small. This guy's, I know he looks big. In the ball python world, he'd probably be eating close to pups or big, large fuzzies. This guy's eating hopper mice. So nothing crazy big. These guys come from rice paddies, so they like it really mucky and hot and humid, like 80-85s with 90% humidity. Like it's just which is why they do really well in tubs, because you try to do it in a fish aquarium, it's gonna be super difficult.
And they like to burrow, correct?
Yeah.
So you need a thick substrate.
Yeah.
What about temperature for keeps 80-85? Is what you keep them at?
Yep. The other hard part about them is you want that high humidity, but you don't want too wet of dirt. They are super susceptible to this nasty yellow fungus. So not necessarily dry substrate, but when you squeeze it, I mean, you want they kind of clump. There'd be a little bit of water that comes out, but you don't want it like just raining constant, just mud.
It's almost like when people talk about how they set up perlite for an incubation.
Yes.
Very similar to that. But here we're using coconut.
Yeah.
Coconut's going to be probably one of the best things for them.
Yep.
That's in. I mean, unless you want to grow your own rice paddy at home, but
and some sort of water feature, because that's going to help with your humidity as well.
Right. And the thicker the substrate, the thicker the substrate layer. Well, T's and S's together screw me up, man. The thicker the substrate layer, then the more moisture it's going to hold without being too damp as well.
And plus, the happier the snake if something got burrows.
So you got a burrower. You want it pretty thick.
Yeah.
I mean,
because especially when we first got this guy in, these guys are muskers, and I will say he cleared the entire building. Now he's doing pretty well. Now it's just probably because he was in a shipment for 24 hours. Yeah. Actually, I think that shipment, something happened and they actually delayed it an extra day somewhere in between because of a hurricane. So he's actually in a box for 48 hours. And when he came out, he just musked everywhere, and it was gone off.
For those of you, for layman terms, who've never had a snake musk on you, because a lot of people I know that watch us mainly keep ball pythons who are not muskers.
Muskers, right.
What a musk snake kind of does is it's kind of like the snake sharts on you. That's the best way to describe it. There's a little more to it than that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, sometimes you'll get this brown, nasty fluid, liquid, like shart. We've all done it. Let's be honest. Raise your hand if you've ever sharted your pants. Oh, you ain't going to raise your hand? Liar. Liar. We've all done it. Come on now. It happens. It happens. A little wet one, right? So they kind of do the same thing, and it's going to smell really, really bad.
Yeah.
And that's a defense mechanism. I want you to think, if you were getting ready to eat your dinner, you're like, oh man, I'm going to eat my dinner. This is going to be so good. And then somebody came and took a wet shit all over it, and your dinner now smelled like shit, like the most putrid, nasty, ate too much Taco Bell shit you can imagine. Are you still going to eat that dinner? So that is what they're in essence doing. They're making themselves smell terrible. They're making themselves stink, taste nasty, and not be something you want to eat. Or something that if a predator, especially think about a fox. I don't think foxes are probably a big predator from there where they're from, but it's a good example here. That's going to tend to be kind of playful with their food, trying to figure out what they're going to do. All of a sudden their food makes their mouth taste like, well, month-old rancid vomit. They're like, oh, God, that's gross. They're going to leave it be. And that's one thing about snakes I really always think is so cool. So there's so many different things that they can do to prevent predators because they're not fast. They look like they're moving fast, but they're really not. So you've got different animals that do different things. Some have developed venom to help be defensive for them, although it's not always the best defense. It's usually more offense. But they've developed noise, things to make noises and warn that, hey, if you try to eat me, I'm probably going to kill you too, and this ain't going to work well for either one of us, so let's just call it a standoff and be done. They have developed the musking, which is really common in the snake world, to musk, and basically it's almost like a skunk, very similar to what a skunk is going to do. Although they don't spray it, it's more just kind of, well, they do, but not like with the same velocity, I would say. And then they've also developed in the hog noses, where they roll over, they musk, so they'll still stink, and they have a black belly, their tongue hangs out, and they look dead. And they'll actually play dead and go limp and smell like is made to actually smell like rotting corpse.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
So you're like, oh, God, that's rotten. Now that don't work for a vulture. Vulture's like, hell yeah! But everything else is probably not going to then eat that. Which I think is cool, all the little defense mechanisms they develop.
Oh, for sure. And to be able to, make a distinct musk that in a rice patty of nasty muckness to scare your prey away is powerful, man. It's bad.
Yeah. That has got to be some nasty, nasty stuff.
And the other cool thing about these guys is with their small mouth, and I don't really know how they necessarily have recorded this, but there has been 0 known bites from even wild ones. They're just naturally docile because their mouths are so small. And they know they can't really do anything. They just musk and go.
Yeah, and like I say, their defense mechanism is more than biting and causing damage and scaring something. Since that doesn't work, is they like, I poop on you, and then they run off, which... I honestly would rather you just bite me than poop on me. For sure. I would prefer it.
And it's another snake species that only a handful of people...
You're catching it, man.
And there's only a handful of people in the entire world who have bred these. So it's another species that's just not a lot's known about the reproductive cycle.
So you could be the first. Pick you up a pair of sunbeams and get rolling.
You could.
Not the first, but one of the
first documented who knows what they did.
Get bit by one, and you can be the first to do that we know of.
Right.
So, anything else you want to add about sunbeam snakes?
Nope.
So, weird eaters, cool looking, can stink, but interesting pets. Sound like they're pretty, I would say,
manageable.
pretty manageable, especially for a keeper who's had some stuff before. Maybe not a great first snake, given some of the yellow fungal stuff and the small feeding and the ability to shadow over you, but everything else pretty good to go, right?
Yeah.
Kurt, anything you want to add?
No.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. We're going to hop off of here, and we'll catch you next time.